So when you're talking about making those hiring decisions, and obviously that we've got the protected classes and everything else to think about. My question is, what about folks who just simply, the business owner who is only comfortable with people that look like him and act like him, and how does that person, obviously there's some risk in that, and the person needs to open their mind, but how do you advise somebody like that, and how do you approach that subject? Boy, everybody kind of looks the same around here. Maybe you should hire an HR consultant to look at your hiring practices, because you could be incurring some liability here.
So how do you have that conversation?
Well, and what kinds of things, I guess part of it's the conversation, which is just a relational question, but then the other side is, a lot of decisions, from what I understand, I've been part of the TPG hiring process once, but a lot of the focus was on how are you going to interact as a person with everybody else, and I think we've got a diverse workforce here, so we're doing it right, and our values are in the right place, but, I guess I just worry about the folks who are just saying, well, I'm only comfortable with people who look like me and talk like me, and
I think if they're actually making that statement, that really opens up the door to the potential liability that's out there. Because it is illegal when your business is a certain size to discriminate. So if every application that they received, every resume they received, happened to be people who looked like that, and they chose from that pool, there's probably not an issue. However, if they have a diverse pool of applicants and consistently the 35-year-old white male is chosen, eventually they're going to run into problems. So as they get larger, someone's going to go, wait a minute, and it's probably going to come an association with a termination or something like that. So.
And who brings that suit? Where is the liability really lie?
Typically, the suit is going to come from a person who applied and was not selected. So then you go to the EOC, and there's an investigation that happens. That's typically where that occurs. And that's at the federal level. And the state has a similar organization that supports that. Some of them are Department of Justice as well. In Washington, it's the Department of Human Services.
Do they really pursue this stuff, though?
Yeah.
The only experience I had with the EEOC was a long time ago, but they didn't have any money, so they call you in for an interview, but they couldn't pursue anything.
The number of claims with the EEOC in the past 5 years has grown exponentially. With as many people unemployed as there has been, and all the interview processes, more and more people are filing those complaints, and the EEOC has been spending a lot of time investigating, and a lot of organizations end up settling because it's cheaper, for them than to lawyer up and go through the process. But I think the last numbers I looked at, the EEOC, it was by the 2010 numbers were the last ones I saw published, were over 100,000 claims. And you may pay better attention to that, but they've just continued to climb just because of the number of people going through interview processes and feeling discriminated a lot based on age.
There's
a lot of age issues right now going on.
So would it be, specifically for me, can I advertise women only? Or should I?
I don't know, because I haven't looked at it recently.
To apply. That's what I will do. Women strongly encouraged to apply. And weed out guys almost immediately. Just because his name's John or Rick, it's like, okay.
I would leave that off. Just take all applications and decide which one has the relevant experience that you want.
I don't get any women if I don't put that type of.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. I'm my type of work.
How about change it and put a positive and say women are encouraged to apply?
Yeah, that's what I'll do. Women are encouraged to apply.
I also think, though, that with your business, given the focus on women helping women, anyone who, if you had that as part of your job description of your posting as well, Amy Works is a company that does da-da-da-da-da, that would weed out some as well. I would want to look specifically at the recent case law on the issue of being able to select women because that's a part of your business model. But I don't know the answer off the top of my head as to when that's going to start kicking in. It would definitely be worth looking at before you hit that 15 15 employees level,
If-
and maybe lower.
If Hooters can do it, right, and
Yep.
I mean, I'm thinking that her business model says, you know, I'm gonna have a handyman because I need, you know, some handyman type of work done, sorry, it's just, you know, I can't get away from the word, but, you know, I'm at work, right now my wife is at home, I don't want some dude I've never met at my house with my 5'2" blonde wife. I would feel much more comfortable knowing that a woman's coming over and I have no qualms about, you know, whether the work would get done right. I just happen to.
It's a good marketing strategy.
So-
That's-
No, so I
That's
look
what I
at
did.
that.
Yeah.
It should be, if Hooters can do it,
Yes.
is there any reason she couldn't? It doesn't. seem-
Well, that would be the issues.
Yeah.
What were the grounds for the Hooters decisions? And that's what we would want to look at to make sure that that's in line with, or whether there's any issues that are controversial, or her situation is different.
But overall, with Hooters, there's male employees and there's female employees, and it sounds like all of her employees are female.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that you wouldn't hire a male to do back office work, or to be an office manager or someone like that. And so all of her customer-facing people like Hooters
Mhm.
must be women for her business model. So I could see that being maybe a distinction. So, but there's been a number of cases on it that we would just want to look at as you grow, because it is an issue.
Ron, I saw you. had a
Okay.
Yeah,
question.
just back to what you can't talk about. I mean, we have a good feel for what we can't talk about, but how do you steer the candidate from talking about those things? For instance, we're a virtual company, and so we hire people that have home offices.
Mhm.
So we have to talk about their work setting in the home, and a lot of times we'll get, well, the baby's moving out of the nursery soon,
Mhm.
and you get all of this information
Yeah.
about family and all those things you shouldn't talk about. How
Yeah.
do you?
If they're volunteering it, it's not your
Okay.
issue. I wouldn't dive into oh, well, how old are your kids? What's your childcare situation? You know, I wouldn't start digging into it. If they say it, you say it. So it sounds like your home office environment is functional for this job. And get them to confirm that and then move on. But, you know, all the time people are, oh, well, I've got to run and pick up my kids, or, you know, we've got a work situation where I have to. And you cannot use that as the basis for the hiring decision. So the fact that you have the information is one of those where you need to disregard it as part of your hiring decision. And so if that person is the only person who has everything else and you're a little worried about their childcare situation, that cannot be a part of that decision, in theory. Disregard.
Mine is similar to Amy's. We actually do want the older people, the people 40 to 60, empty nesters. She had a previous career, and we've kind of built a whole profile of that. And so that's been fairly easy to do, but are there any things that, I mean, is there, you know, potential landmines? It's like, hey, I'm younger, you're only hiring older people? Is that?
Yeah.
It's usually the other way around. But
It's usually the other way around, but if you're consistently not hiring, I mean, you know, my male friends, and my husband included, who are in that, you know, 25 to 40-year-old white male, is sitting there going, okay, we're the only ones who are not protected in any way, shape, or form at all under the law. So when do we become a discriminated class? And it is much harder for someone in that category to bring suit because they're not in a protected class. However, if you have a consistent trend of not hiring them even though they're equally qualified, it could be argued. And then you've got to think about if you're looking for, you know, 40 plus men with gray hair who have a certain credibility with your client base. Well, what about the woman who isn't hired? Because she is a protected class. So you've got to think about how that plays out as well.
So show some kind of consistency in your processes, that it's not based off of, you know, the profile, it's based off of, you know, qualifications.
Right.